So I want to, first of all, let people know that Village Connector Radio is a service of the Village Connector Community Network. We are the People's Network. That means we are for you. And we bring you content that hopefully, as our little intro said, feeds the soul of humanity. And I think we are definitely going to do that tonight with our very esteemed guest, Dr. Ray Charles.
Glad to be here, Glenn.
It's good to have you in the village.
Yes.
So you're a regular here. So
yes.
I don't know whether I should welcome you or just say, hey, look, welcome back.
Yes.
But let me give you a little background on Dr. Ray. Dr. Ray is one of the most dynamic speakers that I have had the privilege of hearing speak because he comes from a place of heart-centeredness. It's not just theater on the stage.
Right.
When he says, he believes, and what he believes he shares.
Right.
And what he shares will change your life. And that's why I asked him to come in here tonight to share with us something that he's got cooking, and I can't wait to share it with you. So we're going to jump right in. We don't have a lot of time for fluff tonight. We're just going to jump right in here. Now, the only thing is I can't see whether, I'm looking to see if I can find our little stream here. I'm sure it's streaming, but I cannot see it. Well, give me a second here.
Sure.
These are the wonders of modern technology, folks, because we're
here now.
Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. We got it. When we're and let me explain something before we get into Dr. Ray. When we are working with these technologies, some of this stuff is really cutting edge, and some of the things that we're doing with it are really pushing the limits of it at a time when it's still developing. So please forgive us if we're not perfect in our execution on this.
Absolutely.
But don't let that distract from the message you're about to hear.
Absolutely.
So getting back to Dr. Ray, he is a leadership professional.
Yes.
He is a he's an educational speaker.
There you go.
Okay?
There you go.
And he is someone who I have a great deal of pride and synergy and camaraderie, and he's one of my mentors. And let me just say that you should have before you a pencil, pen, a paper, and be ready to take some notes because he's going to share some wisdom tonight that's going to make a difference in your life. He's also here to talk about a book that he's going to launch later on this month. And he's going to share with you how you can get a copy of that book at no cost. So I'm telling you right now, if you are a smart and intelligent and thinking individual, when someone is about to gift you the essentially the I don't want to say the secrets, but the essence of what it means to move yourself forward, the success mindset that's necessary to move yourself forward. If someone's prepared to gift that to you, you need to be prepared to receive it well.
Yes.
So be sure to take notes because Dr. Ray is going to explain to you how you can get a copy of this book at no cost at the end of the month. So with that all laying the groundwork, if you will, for our little chat today, welcome back to the village.
Good to be in the village. Good to be home.
That's right.
This is home.
I'm going to ask you to sit a little closer to the microphone. And I don't know if we test your mic. Let's just let me see. Go ahead and speak into it. Yeah,
Test them, 1, 2,
all right, we're
3.
good. All right, so as long as I sit a little closer, would be good. So you've written this book.
Yes.
And I have had the privilege of seeing the pre-release manuscript.
Yeah.
And I could not be more excited for people who are about to get this gift.
I am excited.
So why don't you tell us a little background, give us the backstory to why you decided to write it. But first of all, tell us what is the title of the book.
Right.
I would tell them. I'm going to tell them.
Yeah.
It's Enough is Enough.
Yes.
What is in your shoe?
Yes.
And then we're going to talk about how you came up with that.
Yes.
I love that title.
Yeah.
But tell us, what is the book about?
About 2 years ago, I am in my favorite spot, St. Martin, on the beaches, having breakfast with my wife. And I had just turned 50. And I was a little frustrated. I was frustrated with myself, the fact that I'm at 50 and I had not achieved my goals that I've set for myself when I was in college. And I just heard this still voice in me says, enough is enough. Enough with the comparison. What you've been doing, the reason for the frustration has been you've been comparing yourself of who you are today with the self of who you are in the past that was on a different trajectory. So you were on a trajectory of the traditional, conventional way of launching from college. But I put you on a whole different path. And as I just heard the still voice says, enough is enough. Focus on your current fingerprint.
Wow.
Focus on your current DNA. And Glenn, the moment I made that shift, just as the waves were leaving my feet, because my foot was in the water, having crepes, French crepes in St. Martin, just as the waves were leaving my feet, I felt the frustration leaving my soul.
Wow. You know, as you're telling that story, and I didn't know what the answer to that was going to be, so I'm glad you shared that with me.
Yeah.
I know there's a backstory to the rest of the title of the book. We'll talk about that in a minute. But, you know, we as people have a tendency to want to compare our level of success to others.
Right.
And that is, as I see it, just as wrong
Right.
as comparing yourself today
Right.
to where you were years ago,
Right.
when you should recognize that you have moved in a different direction.
Yes.
It's one thing if you've been on the same path from day one to day 3,685,000, and you want to see like how you're progressing, but when you've made a pivot, which we often have to do with this, I mean, in this day and age, it's amazing how many times people change directions. You know, I think I talk about my father all the time, having worked with Xerox for 35 years and one employer for his entire career practically. And he has a cow every time we talk about doing something different, because his experience was you stay one place and you get the gold ring,
Right.
the gold watch, and you move and you retire.
Right.
So, but here's the point. I think that intelligent and thinking people today look at evolving and moving in new directions based on where new opportunities exist.
Absolutely.
So why don't you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. Well, the first saying of enough is enough, that came from a place of frustration. You know how sometimes we're frustrated and we're like, you know what, enough is enough. That's how I heard it when I was having breakfast. But over a period of time, the same words had a different meaning. It was now enough is enough.
Wow.
And that's what I wrote on. I didn't write on the first enough is enough, because that's from a place of externality. That's from being extrinsic. Enough is like enough with a comparison. Enough is enough. But that was the pivot. And as I began to turn in terms of the intelligence that you're alluding to, the intel now was, it had a different meaning, the same words. Now enough is enough.
And so what I'm hearing you say is that originally enough is enough was like stopping you from just stop doing the comparison. It was designed to kind of smack you in the face and wake you up to realize that you were not to compare yourself to where you were when you were younger, when you were in college, whatever.
Right.
Because you're on a different track now, a different journey, different purpose, different mission.
Exactly.
And somebody who's smarter than you put you on that mission.
Right.
And told you, listen, I need you to focus on what you're doing now, not
Right.
what you could have done, not
Right.
what you, none of the
Right.
woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff. And I've equipped you with what you need
Right.
to accomplish what I have set forth for you now.
Right.
And that's where enough, you have what you need to get the job done.
Exactly.
Enough is enough.
Right.
I
Right.
love it.
Right. And that's where the self-awareness came in.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
the self-awareness came in when it turned from enough is enough to enough is enough. I no longer started to look to the gurus, the experts, the next program, the next certification. None of that is bad, but those are what I consider to be force multipliers. They multiply, they amplify what you already have. But so many people, Glenn, are ignoring what they already have and seeking for something external to give them velocity and acceleration, and that usually does not end up well.
Yeah, and I think as you described that, some people are looking to literally, they're waiting to the point where they become so powerful that it would be like a nuclear explosion for them to come onto the scene when they don't realize that all they needed was the little shots,
Right.
collectively and consistently.
Right. We're looking for quantum leaps. And quantum leaps are great, but I prefer to take the needlepoint moves. And when you do the needlepoint moves and you accept the fact that enough is enough, all I need to focus on now is who can I delegate to all the things that are outside of my sweet spot.
Now, I saw on your, I think it was your face, it might have been your profile, it might have been your Facebook page, but there was an image of you. And I think we actually have that displayed in the video that's playing as people are listening to us here. And it was an image that had enough is enough, and it said, it was something of do what you can.
Do what you
have.
can.
Yes.
Do what you can with what you have, right where you are. And that's a Teddy Roosevelt quote. Do what you can with what you have, right where you are.
That is so important.
It will always be enough.
And you know, I think that's probably the single most important error that we make as human beings, is to think that we have to be in constant preparation mode. And you actually kind of enlightened me on that. I mean, I was guilty of that as well. Trying, here within the village, trying to make things perfect when I should have just made them ready for, just get it out there.
Yeah.
The ready, fire, aim concept, where you're not waiting for all the planets to be perfectly aligned before you go out and try something.
Exactly.
And so this was a meaningful revelation for me, because I know I've seen it. I see so many people there in. It's almost as if fear is keeping them from getting out and trying it. They have this self-doubt that creeps into their mindset and keeps them from putting out what they have today, in hopes that they can make it better before it hits the street, so to speak.
Do what you can with what you have, right where you are.
I love it.
And college, this is not a knock on college, but college teaches us that you have to attain a goal before you move forward. But I don't have to attain a goal. I just have to be willing to attain the goal. Because if I focus on attaining the goal before I move, that's why a whole lot of folks are stuck. I just have to be willing to take the first step. Of course, that's one of Martin Luther King's favorite quotes.
That is my all-time favorite quote.
Share with us. You share with us.
Okay. All right, so Dr. Ray knows me like the back of his hand. And my favorite quote comes from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step.
Just take the first step.
And that is where people get stuck. They feel like they have to know what the outcome is going to be before they even attempt something.
Right.
And that's what keeps them paralyzed.
And that's where
inaction
enough is enough. You may not have enough to take the energy to go through all of the steps, but you have enough energy to take the first step.
Yeah, but what you showed me was that by taking the first step, it puts you in a position where you can now see better, and that now the next step reveals itself.
Right.
And you would never have known what to do next if you hadn't taken the first step.
Exactly.
And that's probably one of the most powerful concepts that anybody that's looking to be an evolving person needs to understand, is that sometimes you can't see. There's no roadmap that takes you through every twist and turn. Sometimes you got to get on the road and see where you're going by seeing where you're going,
Glenn, in the 80s, many of us remember this. Everyone was using this word in their vision statement. We are a sustainable company. And this is something that you coached me in my marketing plan. And you said, Dr. Ray, you don't want to be a sustainable company. You want to be a growing and evolving company. So language is so critical. If we insert the language of sustainable, then that's limited.
Just getting by.
And everyone was using that in the 80s. We are a sustainable company. So I have enough, you have enough. I don't care who you are. This message is not for a particular faith. This is a universal message that you were given the DNA to reach your specific destiny, and that DNA is enough. What you just need to work on is your social management and your social consciousness to invite others to collaborate with you.
All right, now, who is this book for? Because obviously you had a purpose in mind when you wrote the book. Someone, as I said, smarter than you and I
Sure.
gave you a reason for writing this book.
Yeah.
So who is it for?
This book it can benefit anyone, but this book is specifically to benefit the person that is making the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship, from a place of being an intrapreneur to an entrepreneur. An intrapreneur is someone who is within the corporate environment and they have the mindset of a CEO, the mindset of an entrepreneur, but they haven't made that transition. So you wouldn't make that transition because you're thinking, I don't know systems and I don't know marketing and I don't know this and you have a whole list of the things that you don't know. So, but if you embrace the fact that, you know what, enough is enough. I'm not going to compare my today with someone else's today. I'm going to take the first step. And as I take the first step and I take ownership of my genius and I start walking out my DNA, which is the subtitle, What's in Your Shoe, and DNA is an acronym for my distinct natural ability. My distinct natural ability that I was exemplifying in corporate America, that's what I'm taking out as an entrepreneur. So this book is really targeted to the millions of folks who want to make that leap, but don't feel qualified, don't feel certified.
Yeah. I was almost going to suggest to you that for me, when I read, and I didn't finish the whole thing, but I read enough of it. We've talked about it even before you gave me the manuscript. It also struck me that it's for the person that knows that they are capable of more and just haven't gotten outside of their terror barrier or their paradigm their comfort zone, so to speak, to really explore what that means for them.
Right.
They know that they're capable of evolving. They desire the evolution, but they're not sure that they're ready.
Right.
And that's where the self-doubt, you've got to get beyond that moment where you're still willing to stay in neutral because you don't think you're ready to shift into drive.
Exactly.
And it's almost like you have to be at that. It's kind of like, I guess, a crossroads, as you might describe it, where you're ready to try something new, and you just need to know that you're on the right track. And that book revealed, yes, move forward with what you have, and stop worrying about waiting until all the lights are green, all the planets are perfectly aligned, or that you're waiting for some signal that you're ready.
Right.
And if you can bring the thought to your mind, you're ready to pursue it.
Right. And so that corporate individual, Glenn, is an ideal example. But the book really is, as you clearly articulated, is for that individual who is thinking about next, but not focusing on next. They need to focus on now. Because if you're thinking about next and you're focusing on next, then the very next thing that would occur is you look at all the areas that you're not qualified. So think about, if you're taking notes, this is probably the most important part of this interview. You can think about next, but focus on now.
Yeah. Don't look too far ahead. Focus on what you can do today, but be aware of where you're looking to go.
Exactly. Yes.
Now let me ask you. Now there's two parts to the title to the book.
Yes.
And before I ask you to share that second part of the book, because that's one of my favorites, let me just reset things a little bit here.
Yes.
You're listening to Village Connector Radio. My name is Glenn Garnes, and I am your host. And Village Connector Radio is the voice of the village. It's a service of Village Connector Community Network. We are talking today with one of our very esteemed villagers and members,
Yes.
Dr. Ray Charles,
Absolutely.
who is in the process of gifting this community, the community meaning everyone who's within listening range of this broadcast, gifting a mindset shift that can take you to an evolutionary path that you can be proud of. And we're going to talk a little bit later, so stay around because we're going to show you how you can get a copy of his new book, Enough is Enough, What is in Your Shoe? And with that note, we're going to talk about how you came up with What is in Your Shoe. What is that about?
I know. It just hit me one day. I was speaking, doing a leadership conference, and I was talking about just what we were talking about in the earlier segment on, just focusing on what's in your DNA. And the moment I started speaking about what's in your DNA, I was like, what does that sound familiar? Like the bank, what's in your wallet, right? And so when I thought about what's in your shoe, the slogan came from the perspective that a shoe is symbolic of what takes you from A to Z. A shoe is your transportation mechanism. A shoe is that vehicle. So what's in your shoe, Muhammad Ali, one of his favorite quote, it's not the mountains that are ahead that weighs you down, it's the pebble that's in your shoe.
Ooh. Yeah. Say that again, because I think
it's not the mountains ahead of you that weighs you down. It's the pebbles that are in your shoe.
And it's amazing how little that pebble has to be to distract us from doing something that moves us forward.
So the pebble may cause you to limp, but even though it may cause you to limp, still move ahead. I can hear Maya Angelou's voice right now. Yet again I rise.
Yeah.
Yet you may have the pebble, but yet again I rise. So the question is, what's in your shoe? Because there has to be a force that goes against and combats that pebble, because that pebble is pulling you down. So what's in your shoe? What's that corresponding force? Like assertiveness that causes you to rise in spite of the pebble that's in your shoe. And so that's what the book really, the second part, the subtitle really brings illumination to. What's in your shoe? Is comparison in your shoe? Because if comparison is in your shoe, it's going to just pull you down even further. Go ahead, Glenn.
So no, that's you're doing great. I didn't want to interrupt you at all, but let me just say this. So I know, because I've had a chance to preview the book, that the solution to removing that pebble so that you can move more swiftly, that's the wisdom that's in the book.
Right.
You're laying out for people how to overcome these self-imposed limitations and how to overcome the distractions and how to develop enough confidence in what it is that you are set to do to go out and just do it.
And just do it.
And enjoy the results.
It's one thing to have the Nike, logo, just do it. But there's a meaning behind it. I don't just want to say just do it. Show me how to do it.
Yeah.
And don't just preach to me on a Sunday that you got to do it. Show me, make it pragmatic, make it practical.
Yes. And that's amazing because that was exactly the image I have. How many people are running around here with these Just Do It shirts on and they're just not doing anything.
Right.
They're sitting on the couch. That is not doing it.
Right.
Right. And they're sitting on the couch of their lives. I'm not just talking about their living room,
Right. Right.
But so people, let me just say something as we continue our chat with Dr. Ray Charles, the author of Enough is Enough, What is in Your Shoe? I'm going to be saying that a lot, but here's the point. You have a lot to look forward to if you will take action here, because I truly believe that this is one of the most powerful gifts that I've seen be made available to people who are ready for it. A gift is only a gift to the person who's ready for it. And that's because, like I said, if somebody doesn't realize or value or appreciate it, then it doesn't appear to be valuable at all. But if you are ready for evolution, if you are ready, if you know you're capable of more and you just need to know what you have to do to get moving towards the more, then Dr. Ray has laid out some very important wisdom on how to get you there. Now, with that in mind, I want to talk about this, and we can come back and talk about
Sure.
something else, but I want to talk about the book launch.
Yes.
So, August 31st.
August 31st for 1 hour from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
That's noon Central Standard Time. You just do the conversion. It's 1 hour. Between 1 and 2, I am going to provide it free. That's my gift.
So this is on August 31st, the last day of the month.
Last day of the month.
And from 1 to 2 Eastern, you will be able to download the book from Amazon.
They can download it from Amazon
At no cost.
at no cost. But it has to, please don't go
Don't come at
12:59.
Yeah, you know.
Don't go noon Eastern. Go 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Be on time. Don't be early. Don't be late. Be on time.
And the beauty of that is, my birthday is September 1st.
Yes, I saw that
So,
in the.
so
in the
that's
graphic.
my gift. That's my gift.
Nice.
I like giving for my birthday.
Now, just on the off chance that between now and the 31st, somebody may get distracted and forget, what can you do to help them with a reminder?
Sure. One of the things they can do, they can go on drraycharles.com.
That's drraycharles.com.
So that's drraycharles.com.
drraycharles.com.
Just ignore everything that you're reading on there, because what's on there is really my landing page for my course. That course follows the book. That's the next thing. So just ignore everything on there that talks about the course. Just scroll all the way down. Is ask for your name and your email address. You plug that in, and we will make sure that you get a reminder.
So you're just getting on the email list for the purpose of receiving a reminder the morning of the book launch on
Yes.
August 31st. Dr. Ray will send out an email to remind you to get into Amazon between 1 and 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
And you all figure out wherever else you are, Central
Exactly.
Mountain,
Germany,
Pacific,
South Africa, whatever.
wherever you happen to be in the rest of the world, you all figure it out. But Eastern time is the time zone that this is going to be based on. So get on the mailing list so that you can get that reminder. But you also have a fan page, a business page for is it Dr. Ray?
It's Dr. Ray Charles.
Okay.
They can find my personal page by just going. There aren't just a few Ray Charles on social media. So you've seen what I look like right now, number one. So if you just put in,
remember, yes, they're seeing what you look like on the image, in
there you
the
go.
video.
Right. So the Dr. Ray Charles, just type that into search, and if they type that into search, they will be able to access my personal, as well as my business fan page on Facebook.
And I see from your live stream that you've got some friends in here that are being gracious, are being helpful in posting the information as we're talking about it into the comment section.
Awesome.
So that's
Awesome.
great too. So yeah, this is.
It's been a great journey.
Yeah,
It's been a
this
great
is-
journey because with this leap, with this taking that first step, there were individuals. There's a young lady in Charlotte, Charlotte, North Carolina. Joan Randall. She's an author coach. She has helped me like you wouldn't believe in making sure things are set. Lisa Nichols, my sister from another mother.
Yeah.
Lisa is writing the foreword of the book, and that speaks volumes.
That's huge.
That is
Because
huge.
Lisa's big time. You know?
Yes. But she is my sister from another mother. So for her to have that trust, to put her penmanship and her brand on this book, to me, I can't ask for a better endorsement. And so there are so many others that have assisted in this journey. But I'll be remiss if I don't mention one other person that is probably is the most important person, and that's my wife.
Yeah.
And Terry has been my rock.
Yeah.
She has been my rock of Gibraltar. And so I dedicate this book to Terry.
Well, you should.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why. Because behind every successful man, there is a woman shaking her head. If they only knew how I got him to do this.
It sort of reminds me of a Baptist spiritual. Oh, how I got over.
Yeah.
My soul looked back and wondered.
Well,
yeah, Terry is my rock.
One of the things I love about you, Dr. Ray, is that you're not driven by ego.
No.
You love for other people to be involved in what you're doing, and you love to acknowledge them for it. And of course, that's why people step up and want to be part of the things that you're doing, because they know that you don't get involved in stuff just for the sake of doing it. And that when they do become part of your team, you have a purpose for them. And it's not just, see how many hands you can get on something. You're very purposeful in who you invite to be part of what you're doing.
Yes.
And
very intentional.
And I think people take that seriously.
Yeah. And that's the whole, if I can think of an overarching theme for the book, is intention. Glenn, this statistics blew me away. The one I'm about to share with you. I read, in doing my research for the book, it says 90% of the population, global population, 90% of the global population do not know why they do what they do. So they go through day after day, almost Groundhog's Day, in a habit, but not being intentional of what's in their shoe.
I wish I could tell you I was surprised by that. But unfortunately, I believe that, to the core of my being. And that is why this gift is so important, because you have the ability to get people out of stuck.
Come on.
Get them into a mindset that moves them forward so that they can be more, so that enough will still be enough, but they will be more without waiting for the more to happen before they can be enough.
Right.
Right. And this is empowering, because when people are able to become more themselves, they become more valuable to the people that are in their circle of influence.
That's right.
And that is the key. This
Yes.
is what you're unlocking, the opportunity for people to be more valuable to themselves and more valuable to others. And doing that collectively is what makes it possible for humanity to evolve.
Absolutely.
You know where my heart is on that. I mean, that is the essence of the mission here at Village Connector. And that's why you have, from the day you stepped in here, been the perfect fit for what we do here and who we're seeking to serve. And you have just edified the entire concept for Village Connector with this book, and having, partially produced and masterminded and brainstormed, part of that here right within the village. So
absolutely.
It's just been an extraordinary opportunity for me to watch this journey. Which is why I'm so excited about the 31st.
Glenn, share with the audience your favorite quote from Dr. Seuss that is very much in line.
Listen, you're going to have to remind me which one, because there's several that I like from him. But
he said, I have feet in my shoe, or something to that effect. I have brains in my head.
Brains in my head, and something, but I can move in whatever direction I choose. And I can't remember what the whole thing is, because
But that's a great quote.
But that is one of the best. But that's the whole point. And it's funny that you should mention that, because some of the best wisdom in the world came from children's literature. And Dr. Seuss, and for those of you that are hearing me pronounce it Seuss, that's the way it's pronounced. We know him as Dr. Seuss. That's what the public, but it's actually, from what I understand, pronounced Seuss.
Right.
With that in mind, there are, just a plethora of good wisdom coming out of a lot of different books that he's written. But the one you're referring to is, I love
have brains in my head. I have feet in my shoes. I can turn in any direction I choose.
Exactly.
So enough is enough. There's a great quote. I think there's a good quote to sort of wind up. It says, the capacity to learn is a gift. The willingness to learn the capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. But the willingness to learn is a choice.
Yeah, say that one again. And
The-
ladies and gentlemen, before he does, get your pen and your paper out. And I know you can go back and listen to this again, but I want you to write this down. And I would put this somewhere where you can see it on a daily basis, like right in front of your mirror or in your car dashboard or somewhere. But go ahead and give that to us.
Sure,
again.
because this quote captures the essence of this book. The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill, and that's what college teaches us. But the willingness to learn is a choice. So you have a choice. You can sit on that nail and say, something hurts, or you can stand up from that nail. You have a choice. You can continue to walk with that limp, with that pebble in your shoe, or you can get some self-actualization, build your self-actualization muscles, your self-awareness muscles, and arise from that pebble. It's your willingness to learn, which is a choice. So your destiny, getting to your destiny, is a choice.
Now, I remember when you were talking about this book, you told me that out of those three things, the one that holds people back the most is not having the gift, not having the
Skill.
ability. It was making the choice.
Right.
And that was typically the pebble that is in their shoe, is
Yes.
the inability to choose to move in a particular direction.
That's right.
That's what the book is designed to do, to help you overcome the hesitancy you might be experiencing in making the choice to just do it.
People are reaching for the skill, but that's the ability.
You already have the ability, and the ability you have is enough.
It is enough.
Wow. This is, I'm telling you, August 31st may become a major moment in history, especially if you take action to make that the day that you move forward. And so I want to remind you what the opportunities are for you to do that. Number one, if you go to drraycharles.com, no periods in there, just drraycharles.com. Of course, there's a .com, but not after the DR for doctor. drraycharles.com. Scroll to the bottom, get on the mailing list. Dr. Ray will send out an email reminder to you on August 31st, the morning of August 31st,
Yes.
to remind you to go to Amazon.com between 1 and 2 p.m. Eastern Time to download at no cost, Enough is Enough.
What's
What is in your shoe? And like I said, the smart people will do that. I should say, the people who are ready, because there's a lot of people that are smart that still are in fear mode. So I won't say I won't say that this is an IQ test. This is really a matter of whether it's a readiness test, a readiness to be who you were meant to be.
Right.
Wow.
If you have the faith in your calendar alert, then set your calendar alert. But I would prefer that you trust our team, because we have a volunteer team to remind you. So just go on drraycharles.com. Matter of fact, as you go on there, you'll see some other things that we have working. drraycharles.com, put in your name, email address. We'll do the heavy lifting and remind you.
Don't blow this, folks. This could be the day that made the difference for you.
Yes.
Listen, I'm gonna wrap up, because I know that you're being interviewed by everybody right now. I'm privileged that you took time out to come in here and be with me, and I'm not going to be greedy about it. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you.
But for
having me.
those of you that are listening, get connected to Dr. Ray Charles. Connect with him on Facebook at Dr. Ray Charles, and also on his fan page, Dr. Ray Charles, and on his website, drraycharles.com, drraycharles.com. On behalf of the Village,
Yes.
and on behalf of Dr. Ray Charles, I want to thank you for joining us here on Village Connector Radio, the voice of the Village. And I want to remind